Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to Design Exchange.
Happy Friday.
I am here. We are coming to you live with a virtual background. So if our background gets weird, I mean it's very boring. We might come into and out of, we don't know what's happening. So anyway, we've been trying to get Miss Nicole Baxter on the podcast for a while now. Just to get set up in here where we're at, we are at the Design Influencers Conference in Atlanta. And just to get this whole production set up, it took a lot of tape and a lot of planning. So we hope our audio is coming through. It shows that it's coming through to you guys. And yeah, we're like set up and ready to go. I'm representing the Me Bag. And Nicole Baxter is an interior designer and also a realtor.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to real estate school back in I want to say 2007, 2008.
Oh, wow.
Right before the market crashed. So I don't know. I take it. Are we recording? It says we're recording. Okay. You cannot minimize the recording.
Just start over, Daddy.
Okay. We're good.
We're good?
So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, anyway, Nicole, being a realtor and a designer, I feel like that's kind of like hard work. Because
It's
you're pulling double duty.
Yeah.
And I went through real estate school and it really helped me with my design career because it taught me a lot about real estate law, return on investment, the average time someone lives in their home, the average amount of time they spend to make money in that home. And I like to design my spaces to grow with people.
Right.
So tell me your background because I want to get into the personality testing. I don't know how you call it, the Briggs-Meyer.
The Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs.
Yes. So aside from doing real estate, I'm also certified Myers-Briggs and
So tell us what that means.
Oh, you keep vanishing.
God damn.
Here we go. So for me, adding real estate was just sort of a natural fit to the design, but it's really kind of interesting. The hardest part of real estate really to me is finding the clients, where with design, the hardest part of the job is actually doing the design, right? Because it's so complicated and there's so many moving parts. But the two of them go so well together, you guys.
They do. They really do.
They do. Totally do. And one of the biggest things about it, which I think is fabulous, is as a licensed realtor, I can give my broker price opinions on what somebody's house is worth. And where that comes in with design is everybody's always complaining about the cost, or they're aware of the cost. They don't want to overbill. They don't want to put too much money in. Everybody's got a thing about how much you should spend on a renovation, which we know is oftentimes impractical. But if you can give a broker's price opinion and tell people these renovations are going to be really smart. This is how much it's going to up your property value. You can look at houses
and we know it sells a house.
Right,
it's exactly. The kitchens and the bathroom.
But now you have numbers and case studies to be able to prove it. And I think that's what everybody wants, is they just want somebody to reassure them. And as a designer, you can't really reassure, oh, trust me, your house is going to be fabulous. People will want to buy it. But as a realtor,
we could say that, but you don't have the background to mean it.
But as a realtor, you guys could actually prove it. And then the other side of it too is when you're working with the real estate client and they're looking at all these houses and they think, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do in this house. I don't know if I like this or not. Then the designer comes in. So I joke around that you need to house hunt with the designer and renovate with the realtor, because that way you get the most of both worlds, and it's, you know, the overlap between the two that really puts people at ease.
That's a good thing that you do. So did you start out with design or did you start out with real estate?
Oh my gosh, design. I feel like I was really slow on the uptake for real estate because my city was nothing when
I was too when I went to design school or real estate school. I mean, it was the market was crashing.
Right.
And then I never got my real estate license because I didn't like selling.
Right.
I don't hard sell my clients. I want my clients to be happy.
Right.
My aesthetic, I think, is timeless with a twist.
Right. Right.
With the DFR twist.
Right.
And that's what makes me unique. And as a designer, all of us need to be unique. But I got that real estate education and background. I just wasn't interested in the sales portion of it.
It's so hard because I am not the cheerleader type, right? And, you know, so many of the people that are the really super successful realtors, let's face it, they have that cheerleader personality, the, you know, the rah,
A-type personality, right? You're the Myers-Briggs specialist. What's it called?
It's the extroverts. It's the people, touchy-feely extroverts that make, like you, that make the best real estate agents. And me, as you know, quite a little introvert, like it's more of a struggle. I'll get you on education and fact rather than my charming personality.
Yeah. I mean, I do that too, man. The education. I hate how our backgrounds right now. So, I mean, I apologize for this. Like we're coming to you live. We're not live. This comes
From
out
a
on
hotel
Fridays, but we
basement.
are in a hotel and we are in a hot box sauna right now, and we're watching everybody eat and drink and have fun. And we're back here recording.
I'm not watching everybody eat because I was smart and I grabbed my snacks before walking in here.
But if you guys saw, I love doing these things live, and I didn't even know how to record on the computer. And we did a test run and I could see that our microphone's working. So I hope that it's coming out of this microphone, because it doesn't look like it is. It looks like it's coming out of the microphone on the Mac.
All
So
that matters as long as it's recording.
yeah, we're recording. So hopefully you guys can hear us. I'll edit this down. But we've known each other for how long?
Oh my goodness, a really long time. We go way back, and it's been
7 or 8 years.
I think it's been longer than that because we met each other in that one not to be mentioned
We can't, yeah.
group.
It's like Fight Club. We're not allowed to talk about it.
No, I'll talk about it.
And we were here in the same hotel back in 2017 and not
but
2017,
Mark-
2019.
But market way before that. We knew each other virtually before we ever
Yeah.
met in person. Mhm.
Yeah. And the conference that we're at right now is called the Design Influencers Conference.
Mhm.
So if you're a younger designer, what advice would you give to a younger designer? Because our podcast is geared toward younger designers.
Oh, sure.
Me and you, I would say you're a seasoned.
Mhm.
I mean, we've been through so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been through so many once in a lifetime episodes. I've been through a once in a lifetime terrorist attack in 2001. I've been through a once in a lifetime recession in 2008. I've been through a once in a lifetime pandemic. I mean, like, how many more once in a lifetime things can we endure?
Oh, okay. So if you really want to know what we should tell our younger designers, it is this. You will
Expect the
survive.
unexpected,
You will
and you will survive.
You will survive. Like it's really scary when it happens and you're like, oh my God, I need to do something, or I'm going to have the nicest decorated cardboard box in the homeless camp, right? But you know what winds up happening? You take it one day at a time. You find out that it's not the end of the world, that it's not going to come crashing around, and you're going to be okay. And I think that's where you and I are now.
I've heard the word pivot thrown around a lot this year.
Oh, right.
Over the last couple of
Right.
years. Have you heard that word thrown around?
I mean, I think I've been hearing that word around for a while.
So
but
you're
maybe
a
that is
unique-
the best, buzzword for right now.
Pivot to this, pivot to that.
Ross moving a sofa for you younger designers. That's a Friends reference from like way back in the 90s when y'all were in toddlers.
But so do you make the majority of your income from design or from real estate?
Right now from design, I do. It's so busy right now with design that for me at this point in time, sort of referral only on the real estate because
I can't advertise right now. I'm so freaking busy.
oh my God, it's insane.
And the instant,
It's absolutely insane right now.
yeah, we are very busy.
Yeah, and I love it when people call me with real estate questions or want to see some houses and whatnot. It's always so much fun to do it. But I do referral at this point in time because it is a lot of work. And but the hard part about real estate is you don't really get to plan your day. As soon as somebody calls you and says, "Hey, what can you tell me about this?"
That's another thing I didn't like about real estate. When the client calls, you got to drop and run. But that's the same way design works these days.
Put your niece's and nephew's birthday cake down, step up from the party, and walk out, get your laptop, go meet them at the house, call the booking or whatever, showtime.
And to be a designer these days, you can't just be a designer. You have to have a podcast. You have to have a book. You have to have. I had to be an audio engineer. Look, she disappeared. I had to be an audio engineer. I had to pay people to put this rig together. I'm not even sure that our microphone's recording us right now. Like you have to do all of these things to make yourself happen. And to happen.
But that's easier for them, right? Because they're youngins. But here's what they don't know that we know. Like when we started doing this, we were a cutting edge technology. But like it moved so fast.
We're generation one. I call us the first digital design generation, because way back when designers had it made. You older designers, if you're listening to this, you didn't have the internet. Nobody could shop you out. We have to price. We shop ourselves out now.
Okay, but
And-
imagine what it was back then. So one of my first design jobs,
Mhm.
there was no internet, right? There was no email. I remember the first time somebody was like, "Hey, let me show you my new computer that does this." I'm like, "Where are the people? How are we talking to them? How does this happen?"
Keep going.
But the thing about it is, all of these design firms had these giant walls that were like 20 feet long and 8, 9 feet high, and it was nothing but catalogs.
Yeah.
And those catalogs, you need to find the manufacturers. How do you find the manufacturers, right? There was no internet.
We've
Now-
developed so many relationships.
And then you have to they send you the stuff in the mail to update them, and then you got to pull the discontinued and cross it out of your price
I
list.
just had a
Easier.
conversation with one of my vendors that's here. And I was like, I get these emails once a week talking about drop fabrics. I don't have time for
I
that.
don't care.
Get your rep into my office and update fucking catalogs.
Yep.
Excuse my French.
Well, you can pick
but
catalogs. You just go online and you can shop
yeah,
everybody's site,
everything's online
right?
now.
Do you remember when you went to market and they started giving you like all of their catalogs?
Thumb drives. Yes. I have a whole collection of them.
And all these designers are walking around with suitcases at market, and I'm like, "What literature are you taking back? Why are you doing this?"
We
It doesn't make sense.
we stopped taking
Oh,
catalogs back.
I stopped all my books. I have, fabric places.
I'm gonna blur our
Yeah.
background now so that you could see Nicole better. Because
Not
we're
enough
we're
vanity.
literally in a small room
Mhm.
and we're just testing this out. I like it. It's a texture.
Kind of
We're
a
at the-
bit of
where-
Phil
where are we
Jeffries
at?
vibe.
Yeah, it's
We are the
vinyl.
Grand Hyatt.
We're at the
in
Grand Hyatt in
Atlanta.
Buckhead.
Yep.
So
And this is where y'all need to be. If y'all are up
if you're
and coming
wanting to be a
designers or
designer,
whatever,
this is a networking thing. This is a
Mhm.
networking event. I've networked just today. I've talked to J Par Rugs while I was getting this all set up. I've talked to J Par. I've talked to Dillard's department store.
they're here.
Yeah, and that's where I got my career. I started in the fine china department. I did mechanical drafting in 7th grade, so I knew what I was going to be doing. But I ended up doing visuals for Dillard's, and I worked in the fine china department,
I love it.
and that's how I kind of started. But they're here,
I
Sherwin
love
Williams
it.
is
I
here,
love it.
and there's a bunch of different brands that are here.
Mhm.
But all of our designer friends that are here. I'm wearing a Me Back Pro shirt because Melinda's
Melinda.
here. Melinda stopped in to drop off badges and take a picture of us. But we are trying to get as many podcasts recorded this week as we can.
Yep.
And
Well, everybody's here.
yeah,
I mean, it's
and we have
perfect.
experts. So what are your 3 main pieces of advice to give a new designer? Being Nicole Baxter from the Raleigh-Durham area, what are your
My pieces of advice. So, pardon?
I don't know. I think it's coming.
I think it is. I mean, as long as the thing is moving.
Uh-uh.
Before it was recording, we're just gonna be fine. Just
I
trust that.
see it moving.
We can. after
I
we-
see it move. Hello, hello. I watched Elvis the other night in the hood. Hello. Yeah, I think we're recording off the MacBook, so talk as loud as you can.
All right. So one
Your
piece.
3 pieces of advice.
My 3
For a new
pieces of
designer.
advice. My brand new designers. 1, speak your voice. If you feel something that a client needs in a house, say it. I feel like, when we started off in design, when I started off in design, it was very much an elite sport, and companies were looking for designers who had connections with society and other people. And now design is more even than that, right? Anybody
Yes.
can get into the industry.
And no, people are going to be mean to you when you're starting out.
Oh, Jesus.
I just read a post from somebody the other day on one of our groups that a vendor was very mean to this
Yeah.
designer because the reps are picking and choosing. But my first time going to High Point Market, I walked in and I went through IHFC floor 1 and floor 2, and I
Mhm.
was so overwhelmed. I got back in the car and drove back to
No,
Ohio.
you did not.
I did too. And now when I go to High Point Market,
He like
I
rolled it.
no, I can't walk into the first floor IHFC unless it's on
Did
the.
you have PTSD?
No, because everybody knows me, and they I have to go before it opens or
You'll never get through
towards
anything.
it's done. Yeah, because so I start my days in the weird areas.
Yeah, yeah.
So what?
So
Elaborate
back to
on
my-
your
so back
what
to
you're
my
saying.
Sure.
Networking.
Well, no,
Get
we're not
yourself
there
to
yet.
market.
Well, that but that's not my first piece of advice. My first piece of advice is if you know what's going on in a client's house and you know what needs to be said, go ahead and say that. Give them your craziest, your best, your awesome ideas, because they might just go for it. If you filter your advice and what you think a space needs through your own
have a personality. People are not hiring you. I mean, you got to have a personality.
Well, I think that young designers filter themselves because they're scared of spending the client's money. And so they don't put their really great ideas out there. And
I always tell my clients that I'm fiscally conservative and I spend money wisely. And I spend money, I direct dollars in the right area.
Right. Right. But don't be afraid, because I feel like there's a moment in every designer's life where you tell a client, you're like brave enough to tell a client your crazy idea, and they say, oh my God, we're going to do that. And then at that point, it's sort of like the seal's broken. Now you're like, people will listen to me when I give them outrageously expensive ideas that are really good.
Yeah.
So
be out there. Put the idea out there, because the only thing you're going to hear is possibly a no. And you might have to value engineer your own idea to make it work.
But even if you value engineer your own idea, you're giving them something that's going to be absolutely amazing for the house and for the project. And that's what they're hiring you to do, is to make their space fabulous.
So Nicole Baxter's number one tip is do not self-edit.
That's number one. Number two, education. Education.
Now, elaborate on education.
Well,
educate yourself formally, or educate yourself through going to markets, attending conferences, and listening to podcasts and watching what other designers are doing.
I would say yes to all of the above, but I understand not every designer goes through school, right? And there's a lot of ways to enter the industry, and I don't want to,
dissuade anyone.
No, I really, or belittle anyone, because
education is very important.
There's room, but
you do only need an associate's degree in interior design. If you're in a four-year college, focus on accounting and focus on business, because that's what me and you had this conversation about earlier.
10% of your job is design. The other 90% is not design.
No. And it's a pain in the ass.
Absolutely.
And you want to surround yourself with good people.
Right. And so by education, I also mean, get your skills up. Like maybe if you don't go to college, maybe take a class at Oak Arts Council, learn how to draw, learn how to communicate. College. Don't depend heavily on technology for expressing your idea, because we've all sat around with a notebook or a napkin and sketched something out.
I thought it was the whole, I honestly, to talk about this more, when I started being an interior designer, I thought that I could not draw. I did not think that I could sketch. And then I started seeing all these other designer sketches, and I'm like, oh my God,
I'm not really good.
I can sketch. But it takes time. Right. But I learned I could do a floor plan digitally or by hand within minutes.
Yep.
And as she's speaking on education, know the codes. In your areas.
Know the codes.
And when I talk about codes, it's building codes.
Yep.
Because I know, in most parts, I know all about the ADA rules. We know, most designers all know, ADA is a national thing, American Disabilities Act. You need to have a 36-inch wide opening. Your bathroom, everything should be 36-inch. Sconce heights are standard.
Yeah.
So I know
much stuff.
In Ohio, I know that I need to be within 6 feet of an electrical outlet at any point in the home. And I'll go into homes where I don't have that option. And I'm like,
where are we going to put it?
Who built this? who did this? And how did this pass code?
I had a bathroom with no outlets in it. I had a bedroom with 2 outlets.
We've run into that.
So hard. It's so hard.
Education. So we have number one as.
So I want to talk about education a little bit too, is you guys, you need to resist the urge to do trends, because if all you know how to do is reproduce a trend, you will have no career when that trend is over, right? And so we're looking at a change right now. Farmhouse is out, mid-century modern is out, all these things are out. So many people joined the industry when those were on the ascendant, and that's all they know how to do is do
farmhouse.
Oh my God.
Dolly Decorator and Holly Lobby, they're at Poverty Barn.
Right. You need to really know how to be a designer without a trend. And your clients will appreciate it. You need to make
your own aesthetic.
Well, right.
Hone in on your aesthetic. So I've honed in on.
You and I differ here, but go ahead.
Yes.
But because we have two different niches.
We do. We do, and that's good. That's why this podcast exists. It's called the Design Exchange, because we're exchanging ideas. So my aesthetic is moody. I mix mid-century modern with timeless design,
And black
and I pay attention to the trends.
and black.
I don't really do that much black as people think that I do. I wear a lot of black, but I mean the trend right now is Scandinese, or otherwise known as Japandi,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is very
Yeah.
Scandinavian meets so I mean go on and
Yeah.
on about that.
Yep.
But make your own trend. Don't follow the trend. Make your own aesthetic.
Right.
Very brand.
And so for me, and I think a lot of it depends on how your talent works. So for me, I'm inspired by my clients and I'm really interested in telling my client's story. And that's just how my talent works. I love the mystery of discovering who they are and what motivates them.
I love
including-
talking to clients and getting to know them.
Right, because you get to know their history and their story. And I feel like if I'm in a house that looks like a farmhouse, that could be one of 10 million Americans that live in there. But if I go into somebody's house and as a designer, if I make somebody's house look like they were born in it, like you cannot not know
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it's their house.
Exactly.
That's how I know I did my job right. And I look at it as like branding. Like
Yeah.
every family's got a brand, every person's got a brand,
Yeah.
and you don't know it
It's
as
called a
yourself.
lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. We sell lifestyle.
Well, not even that,
So
but
let's keep it. We're
Yeah.
going all over. We
Yeah.
could go on this.
We
We
could
can,
go on
we
this
can
for a
have part two. We're gonna have her back on, obviously. So rule number one. Tip number one was.
be bold. Don't
Tip number
self-edit.
two was education.
Education.
And now let's move on. Tip number three from Nicole Baxter is.
Find your favorite wine because your clients are going to drive you to drink at some point in time. So you should know what your go-to beverage is, really. Is that a bad tip? I should not be encouraging you
I
guys
don't
to
know. I'm
drink.
drinking Starbucks.
Yes, it's all iced down. Look at that.
No.
Apple juice. Tip number three. What would I say is tip number three? Be active in the design community. Get to know other designers, join associations, come to events.
Networking. So
yeah.
what she's saying is networking.
Well,
And
yeah.
do you know, people don't realize how important networking is. I hate doing networking events, but networking events have taught me so much. I've made so many great friends
Right.
like you
Yes.
through networking events. And
Yes.
we're at one right now, which is basically networking. We're networking with our brands. We're networking with other designers. Hey, what's going on in your industry? Are you seeing this? Because when I started out being a designer, I felt so alone.
Right.
I felt like I was the biggest fuck up because I made a wallpaper mistake,
Yeah.
or I got
But then
questioned,
you meet other
or I
people
got
who
a
have done the
negative
same
view.
thing.
And then I see these, I met people and they're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I had the same thing. And then I'm like, holy shit, it's not just me.
Right. And
It's
it's not the
other
end of the
people
world.
too.
It's not the end of the world.
There's no such thing as a design emergency.
Don't tell my
But-
clients that because my clients think there is.
Yeah. But sometimes there is.
Oh, I would say the other thing that's really important is a vetting question is ask your clients what their timeline is. I just moved a client into.
No, the two most important questions to ask a client: what's your timeline? What's your budget?
Yep.
And they will be resistant to tell you those two things. And the client will tell you, I'm open, I don't really have a timeline. And then all of a sudden there's an emergency.
And that emergency, by the way, is a party.
And I have a book that I give to clients, and line number 10 is Christmas is not a deadline. Parties are not deadlines. Because if you plan around a deadline, you are not
You're not
gonna,
going to hit it.
you're putting that into the universe that you are not going to hit it.
Yep.
So,
Well, and I'm really glad I did an installation.
and then number one in my handbook
Yep.
of expectations is anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes. And
and-
sometimes you have a job that's cursed. You will hit this, you guys, a job that's cursed where everything goes wrong down the line and it happens to
nonstop.
everybody. You just go home, you cry, you call your design buddy friends and you just sit there and they tell you it's okay.
And we
We've
talk
all
it
been
through.
them and we swap stories of, bad things that have gone wrong and stupid stuff that's happened. Because if it's going to happen once or twice in a project, it's now a trend. And everything you touch is just going to crumble.
And there are other people out there like that shit has happened to. So that's why you want to network, to
Mhm.
bounce their ideas off of, to bounce your problems off of.
Mhm.
Like
Oh
I
my
could say, Nicole, I had a client that sink flooded and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I've installed Miele appliances where Miele said, "Oh no, you don't need venting."
And then you find
but
out
you really
do.
need venting.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so there's other people. You need to be friends with other designers. You do not need to
Mhm.
be the dickhead designer. And I hate to say those words, but we are used to the older designers in our industry that have just been non-inclusive.
Yep.
They don't want to talk to you.
Yep.
They think they're just super elite.
Yep. It's
And they don't want to
furniture. As
share.
soon as you rearrange the furniture, you have ruined my work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
so you can't get that attached to it, right?
yeah.
As long as
And I tell people, it's your house. If you want this, even though I don't agree with it, maybe I don't agree with it, but it's your house.
Yep.
You live here, and
Yep.
I'll do whatever you want me to
Yep.
do.
And I think that's a
But
very
I
amazing,
give them,
that's a
I
good
give
point.
them, I give them the option. I go, this is my professional opinion.
Yep.
But not everybody can live in the magazine. We want everybody's house to look like it came out of a magazine, but that's not realistic.
But that's not real life either. And
No.
I think that's the other part of it is what you said, it's somebody else's house. But we always say that in kind of like a dismissive sort of way. But y'all, really, truly, this is somebody's house. They are as complicated as you are. Their interests are as varying as you are. They are
Yes.
as deep as you are. They have real relationships. You know, when we see them
And
as
your
one,
taste is not going to be the same as theirs.
right. And that's why I really am inspired by my clients. If I see them as one-dimensional people, then I can put a one-dimensional design in like farmhouse. But there's so much
A rinse
deeper
and
than that.
repeat.
Yeah, right. But they're not. I mean, we're not decorating a cake here, you guys. We're writing a biography. I mean, that's how I look at it. That's just me.
So anyway, speaking of writing biographies, your tips. Tip number 1 was, I already forget. Tip number 2 is education. And tip number
one
3,
is don't self-edit.
don't self-edit. Have a personality.
2,
Education.
3.
Yep.
No, not drinking. It's networking.
Networking.
Networking. You can drink.
So those are our top tips. Oh yeah, I can drink. But Nicole Baxter, tell them your social information.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have slides for it, but
Yeah,
we'll tip them in.
So I'm Nicole Baxter. I'm at Baxter Design, and I believe my Instagram is Baxter Design and Real Estate. And also, I'm starting my emotional home stuff up and running. So you
and
guys
tell
can
us,
also
you have a
follow.
book coming out.
Well, I'm in the editing stages of that right now. And it all kind of goes into my philosophy of the emotional home, which is designing for your clients and figuring out what we need in the home, you know, memory, identity, our Myers-Briggs type. The remix?
Our friend Corey
that's the
Damon's
name of
here.
it. Enjoy the remix.
I love Corey. So hopefully we'll get Corey on the podcast this week.
Oh, that would be great.
My friend Corey Damon Jenkins just launched his first book. Oh, I can't see it. I'll post it in the notes. We are in the weirdest setup. This is our first test podcast. I hope we got it okay. We're gonna have some amazing guests coming on this week. So please excuse our background that went from we were in a nice little field.
If we lean back and
Hopefully we got
manage.
I'm gonna re-edit these. But Melinda will be in here. We're supporting the Me Bag. If you go to mebagpro.com, you can get it there. But
It's a great bag. I checked it out today.
Yeah.
First time I got to see it. It's awesome.
TDX Podcast is our Instagram, and we have tdxpodcast.com coming out. We're gonna have a lot of amazing guests coming on. These episodes are gonna be out over the summer, fall, as we go crazy with it. But Nicole, you're gonna be coming back on.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it properly. Hopefully we got this
But I won't be in the
situation.
same room with you because I live in
I know, but we'll be something
We'll have a
something will
studio.
happen. I'll be at High Point.
Ooh, maybe you'll have figured out how to work this then.
Oh, I better have, because I had to pay somebody to put this stand together, and I just hope you
The
guys can hear
microphone
us.
is duct taped
The
on.
microphone's duct
Blue painter say. Oh,
courtesy of the Me Bag. But yeah. Anyway, I love your hair. I hope you win. Follow us on everything. Follow Nicole Baxter, and we're gonna have her back again. It was great talking with you
So
guys.
much fun.